every company needs to check, to make an insight work and to understand how to make the company more inclusive. And, it's before you are trying to recruit diverse employees, you need to understand how your employees feel.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley in partnership with Leumi, sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest Labs, Synergy Global, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, Birthright Excel, Serona Partners, and in media partnership with C-Tech. Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Meet Shahar Silis, the Managing Director of Power in Diversity. Shahar is the Managing Director of Power in Diversity, an initiative founded by a group of leading VCs to promote diversity and inclusion in the startup ecosystem. Her previous roles include managing the 9900 Alumni Association and working as a process engineer in the semiconductor industry. Shahar holds a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from the Technion, Israel Institute of Technology, as well as a certification in strategy consulting. Shahar Silis, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. I'm always looking forward to these types of conversations, talking about the ecosystem, in general, and trying to understand, what's happening, where are we aiming to get to? You've been involved with communities for quite some time. Today, you're running a diversity and inclusion community, working with, I believe, more than 40 VCs and over 120 startups from the Israeli ecosystem, trying to piece together, at least in these 20 minutes, what is diversity and inclusion from your perspective, and how are we doing in the Israeli ecosystem, and where are we heading, what needs to be done? So Shahar, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So tell me a little bit about your background and how you ended up finding yourself in diversity and inclusion.
Okay, so I'm actually coming from a very different world. In my position, I'm a chemical engineer.
Right.
Yeah. So, but back at the beginning, I was born in Haifa, and I served in a unit called 9900 in the intelligence force. And I started studying chemical engineering at the Technion, and was very excited about the thing that I can, dealing with so many fields under the same roof. I had my research in the semiconductor field, and I worked as a R&D student in a chemical factory, and my final project was in the field of green energy. So I had the chance to taste a bit from anything under this title. And when I finished my studying, I started working as a process engineer at Intel. And after 2 fascinating years, I realized that I need to do something that, makes me be more satisfied and make an influence and make an impact and working with people. And I started the consulting, and one thing led to another. And today I'm leading Power in Diversity Initiative, and I am lucky, to collaborate with an amazing VCs. You said the 40 VCs. I think today we are standing on more than 60 and more than 170 startups. So the numbers are amazing, but the most important thing is that we can see an actual change in our work. And that's it. This is how I get to this point.
How do you define diversity and inclusion, specifically pertaining also to the Israeli ecosystem?
So first of all, I think that the Israeli ecosystem is very unique, and it's very, innovation. It's all about innovation. And we have a lot of groups in the ecosystem that unfortunately are, underrepresented and don't get an equal chance to involve the high-tech sector. And for me, and I think it's not just for me, it's for Power in Diversity in general, The most important thing is the fact that diversity for me is not something related to charity or to doing, a good deed. It's something that in the Israeli ecosystem has the power to change the development of the company. It can make companies much more, profitable and to perform better financial results. And it's increased, the creativity of the company, and it makes companies to be much more open-minded and inclusive to the environment in general. And I think that we have a massive potential of combining all those groups. When I'm saying underrepresented group, I'm talking about people from the Arab sector and people with disabilities and people from the Ethiopian community. And the range is so wide, but basically we're talking about everyone that doesn't get, the opportunity or the same opportunity to get into this world. And I think that, if you get into a startup company, in Tel Aviv, you will probably see that the employees look kind of, the same, and their background is very similar. And something, about I think we can see a global change in this field of diversity and inclusion. But in Israel, I think that the fact that we are, always trying to be innovative and trying to do things differently. So there is no reason we will stay behind in this field, in the diversity and inclusion field.
So why did there become a need for an organization to bring together all of these venture capital funds and startups to work on diversity and inclusion? So what was sort of the pain point that this community is solving?
So first of all, I will tell you how everything was started. Power University was established by Alan Feld from Vintage Partners. Mm-hmm. And Alan joined for other VCs, Vitango, Viola, Kuma Capital, and Gilelot Capital. Today, Sivan Shamridan from Gilelot Capital and Kobe Sabrutsky from Gilelot Capital and Sivan from Kuma, of course. They are both co-chairs of the initiative. And I think the need was the fact that we need to, use the power the investors have, especially because, when you're trying to decide, the VCs are the fuel behind the industry. They are eventually the one that gets the decision of which product will change our lives and what will be, the next unicorn. So I think the value of getting involved in this field also, to make a change and see how they can join the effort and how they can, explain their portfolio companies. This issue is very, important. This is something that we are using in the initiative. But also, I think that VCs has the option to they are the best people to know their portfolio company. So they can work with us. We are working with social psychologists. We're working with diversity experts. And I think that all those factors together can make an actual change. And we can see the results in the field. We're working with an amazing companies, and we can see the statistics and, even starting a process in a company and, publishing the process to the employees makes a change. It's a change in the state of mind. It's the fact that you care. And we can see the influence from the beginning, and we are very pleased with the results.
Is there a way to quantify the success of an organization like this, or quantify in some measurable way the impact that an organization like this is having on an ecosystem?
Sure. So for us, it's all about measurement. We believe in numbers, and we are also working right now on developing a benchmark that will set a standard for the industry and will help companies to understand where they are standing compared to their contestants. But we measure everything we do. When we work with a company, first of all, we're doing a first evaluation and trying to realize where the company stands in the current situation, and then to make sure we are accurate the needs of the company. And then, the process of getting and accomplish the purpose is much more easier. And we are, of course, measuring things after the process, 6 months after and a year after.
And how do you actually go about taking those measurements? Is that simply by talking to them? Is it standardized in some way? What have you learned about gathering together these pieces of information that don't seem too trivial to standardize and normalize?
So it's a mix of things, but I think that first of all is the fact that we are interviewing employees. You don't need to be a manager or a VP, R&D in order to count. So we ask the employees how they feel, and everything is anonymous, so they feel very comfortable with sharing with us. And we are doing surveys, and one at the beginning, and one in the middle, and at the end of the process. And the thing we realize is, first of all, that there is something in the fact that the company is getting into the process, and we encourage companies to share and spread the word, and not just to the press, but also to their employees. And there is something that makes the employees feel much more comfortable to share things, to share their feelings. And you can learn so many things when your employees feel comfortable to share. And this is one thing. And also we have a baseline of the industry, so we can compare it to other companies. And we are trying to do the best with analyzing everything. We are using the best experts in the industry in order to use the tools we have. We've done this for almost 5 years, and we are constantly learning. Every company is different. And we are just, in the beginning, we worked only with companies that over 70 employees. And the reason was because we thought, we heard a lot about, startups in the beginning of their way can deal with diversity. This is too soon. So I'm happy to share that I got it. I have a lot more startups, small startups that want, to understand how to do diversity actions better. And you know what? We try to put a spot on the companies, even the small companies or the companies that do this work in a good way. And to spread the word and to show CEOs that it's possible. And you just need to use the right tools. And we are here to help them. And we are making everything much more accessible. So,
if you had to, pinpoint, one or two of the most critical aspects in today's Israeli ecosystem that we should pay attention to when it comes to diversity and inclusion? Something very tangible and specific that really is something that we need to address and something that we could address. What should our focus be? What are those things that we should really be focusing on?
So I think that first of all, we need to focus on the fact that every company needs to check, to make an insight work and to understand how to make the company more inclusive. And if before you are trying to recruit diverse employees, you need to understand how your employees feels about having a Haredi person to work side them, or doing a group trip to with Haredim or people from the Arab sectors, and adjust the activities you're doing that will be more inclusive. Because I can tell you that when we made a survey in one of our companies, we found out that there are employees that are not very open, or I would say afraid from working with people that are different from them.
Really?
And
Wow.
yeah, and this is super interesting, because I don't think, I mean, at the beginning of the process, when you ask employees if they will be okay with the possibility of working with someone that is very different from them, they will say, it's anonymous, so they can say they will feel uncomfortable with this or something similar. But at the end of the process, after you're doing a lot of effort, and it's a lot of effort of explaining why it's not so frightening, to work with different people, and why it is good not just for the company, it's good for you as a person, and you open your mind for this, and I think this is the thing that I personally most love in the process.
Beautiful.
The fact that you can see the change, you can see that the individual person change his mind, and understand the process of
Amazing.
being more inclusive.
Looking at yourself, as a leader of this community, and day in and day out, working on this, where do you get the most satisfaction? What are the moments that leave you? Because obviously you're working on something that is very high impact. It is something for the community, for the ecosystem, something that I think everybody can agree on is important and will serve for the benefit of both people, especially people that are going to be included in this diversity and inclusion, but generally for the tech ecosystem. So which part of it really satisfies you on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, well, first of all, to see a CEO, that said that they are doing the best they can, that there is nothing else to do, and the reason they don't have enough women is because there aren't enough women in the industry, and then making a process in the company, and showing the opposite. So I think the satisfaction there is huge, and we are working really to I won't say educate, but to show companies that there is another way, and to show how valuable this thing. And when I hear a CEO that tells me that he recruits an employee that is on the autistic spectrum and is his best employee, it's way above the expectations. So I think those things are the most inspiring for me.
Was this also always a passion or motivation of yours to work on a diversity and inclusion? Was this always something that that was bothering you, or that you found potential in even before that, while you were at Intel and in the military and later on in 900?
Well, I think so. I think, first of all, I was lucky as an engineer in Intel. I worked with, people from the Arab sector and with Haredim, and my manager was a woman. And I think the environment I worked at was very diverse. But after when I moved on, and even in the army, and in a lot of in engineering study, maybe not in chemical engineering, but when I've done all the math or electrical studies at my degree, I saw a gap, and I saw the gap. I saw that there is a difference between the amount of students, or it doesn't matter if it's women or people with disability, which is a strong thing that was always important to me. And I think that the workplace or the tech sector is the one environment that the limitations are easy to break. I think that in the army it's maybe harder, and in schools we had a lot of work we have a lot of work to do there also, but it's a process. And I think that when we are talking about the tech sector, especially because things moving fast, especially in startups, and as if your crew is more diverse, so you can be much more. You can be more flexible. You can suit yourself to change, and we saw things with COVID. We saw how important it is. So I do think that the value for the tech sector is it's really much more than do good for the society. So yeah, personally, I want to see much more. I want to see different people when I enter to a startup company, and hopefully, the tech sector will set an example for the rest of the industry.
תודה רבה, Shahar. This was wonderful and inspiring, and thank you for all the great work that you're doing for our ecosystem. And thank you for sharing with me your perspective and your story and the founding story of this community. And it really is warming my heart that there are so many of the incredible VCs and startups in Israel that are working hard to promote diversity and inclusion, not just in their own companies, but in the community and the ecosystem in general. So thank you very much for your hard work, and stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you. You too.